Hey there, English speakers. Oh, I gotta turn the volume down. But how are you? How are you? We're here for another live session. If you're tuning in, thank you for watching, and we're gonna try to learn something today. So thank you for moving to the new time on Friday. We will try to do this on Friday. Well, we won't try. Try is I don't like the word try. We're going to have a lesson here on Fridays unless I tell you otherwise. Unless I tell you otherwise. So, how are you? How are you? We have a good show for you today, a good class, I guess we could call it. A show, a class, whatever. It's going to be a good time. We're going to start out with a story and a recap of things that happened this week. A recap of things that happened this week. And I'm going to just tell stories to work on your listening. Just to listen and be able to see if you can follow the story. We say follow the story. Follow the story. If you follow somebody, you go behind them. This person is following this person. But you're following the story. You're following the story. But anyway, so I'm gonna just recap the week and talk to you for the first part. The lesson part, we're gonna learn how to be fluent. So I'm gonna give you a little tip, a little trick that can make a big difference in your speaking. Kind of writing too, but this is mostly for speaking. Then I'm going to let you practice. I'm going to ask you some questions, and hopefully you will practice at home. And after that, I'll give you your assignment for this week to practice what we learned today. So it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good time. After that, I'm going to open it up for your questions. If you have any questions, I'm toying around with the idea of opening real Skype questions. So open it up so you'll be able to call me on Skype and ask any questions, or just get a chance to talk for maybe 10 or 15 minutes and practice your English. I'm toying around with the idea. That means toying around with the idea. In post-production, I will put that expression at the bottom, a subtitle of that. I'm toying around with the idea of, and then the ing form. I'm toying around with the idea of having a call-in show. So making it able for you to call and talk for maybe a 10 or 15 minute slot. No matter what your level, if you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, I'd like to open it up to everybody. But I need your feedback to let me know if that is something you'd be interested in or interested in. Both of those pronunciations work. But let me know because I need feedback to make this, to do it effectively. So this week and last week, it's a strange thing because I don't live in the United States, but I hear obviously if you follow the news in the United States or follow, what's going on in your home country, if you don't live there, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect there between what you see because you're looking at it from the outside. So I get headlines and I see memes. The pictures with words on them are called memes. I see those on Facebook and Twitter about an American football player named Colin Kaepernick. And there are so many extreme views from he's a hero, brave, he's a patriot, to he should be ashamed of himself, it's a disappointment. And so I was curious. I saw all of these opinions, so I researched, I checked out what it was about. What did he do? Did he kill somebody? Did he go to an embassy and shoot somebody? Did he do some terrible act of violence and betrayal? So I looked at the first news site and saw that he sat down. He didn't stand for the national anthem, for our national anthem. It's customary, and probably in your country too, it's customary to stand up during the national anthem. It's customary to stand up during the national anthem. Let me see if I can, okay, looks like it's coming through. It's customary to stand for the national anthem. It's not mandatory unless you're in North Korea or something, but it's customary. It's traditional. Many see it as respectful. It's what most people do. But he's an American football player and he didn't stand up for the national anthem. So I saw that news and I thought, no, that can't be it. So then I checked another news source and it was the same thing. And I checked, I think, 3 different places looking for this terrible act that this man did. That's all. These extreme views came because he didn't stand for the national anthem. Let me check this. I meant to change the quality of this. Let me see if this... Let me see. Sorry, bear with me. Well, I'm trying to work on the quality issues of these, so I'm trying to work on them week by week. We say step by step, week by week. It's a learning process. There's a learning curve here, but I'm sorry for that. Let's get back to the topic at hand. He didn't stand up for the national anthem. I don't see why this is news. I don't see why people were so upset about it or proud about it. He didn't stand up for it because there's been and there is a lot of police brutality and police murders, especially lately, against black people. And he's a black man. And it was in protest of that. He didn't want to stand for the national anthem because that would support these injustices that are happening all over the country. I mean, to me, you'll notice that. You'll notice these after today's lesson. But, I mean, he's a man of principle. I wouldn't consider this a heroic act. Definitely not a betrayal. He's a man of principle. And to me, you've got to respect that. Whether you agree with him or not, it wasn't an act of violence, it didn't hurt anybody, and he stood for something he believed in. That's something to respect in my book. What about you? In your country, how patriotic are people? How is your flag seen in your country? Let me know. Let me know if people hold your country's flag in high regard or if it's a flag. My opinion is different from a lot of Americans who are very patriotic. I think it's just a flag. It's colors on a piece of cloth. Yeah, sure, it represents things that I agree with, but it also represents a lot of things I don't agree with too. It represents stuff. So it's a piece of cloth with colors and designs. That's my opinion about it. And the national anthem is a song. Our national anthem is pretty cool. I like our national anthem, but it starts and stops there. It's cool, but it shouldn't be worshipped, in my humble opinion. What about you? How is the national anthem? How is the flag in your country? And how is patriotism treated in your country? How is the national anthem viewed? How is the flag viewed? What are people's opinions on those? And are people very patriotic in your country? Let me know. I'm curious. I want to know. And don't forget to let me know which country you're writing from, too. But that's what happened. This week, when I was going to work, I ride my bicycle to work, which to me, it's a good thing. I ride my bicycle to work, and the only drawback is a negative thing. The only drawback is that that I get very hot and sweaty. So I have to arrive at work pretty early, like 20 minutes early. I like to arrive to work 20 minutes early to wash up, cool down, dry off because I'm really hot, and change my clothes. But the benefits far outweigh the drawbacks. That's really the only drawback. I ride my bicycle to work. It's a healthy option. It does my little part of helping the environment and not taking even public transportation. I'm riding a bike. It's my part. It helps clear my mind when I'm riding. So that's a good thing. I need to buy a helmet. I do need to buy a helmet. That's going to be on a top priority for me. And it saves time and it saves money. And that's a win-win. Over the course of the day, I make 2 trips back and forth. So there, back. That's back and forth. So I make 2 trips back and forth. Together, it's just under 40 kilometers. So in the morning, I go back, come back and teach a lesson. The afternoon, I go back and come back and teach more lessons there and here. Basically, my week is very busy, but it's also healthy. I don't mind it. I like riding my bike to work. How about you? How do you get to work? How do you get to work? Let me know. Let me know. But let's get into the lesson, shall we? You may have noticed when I was telling my story, when I was giving the recap of the week, my opinion, you may have noticed these words, and you may have noticed that I used some of these words. I tried to point it out when I said it. But we're going to help you become fluent. We're going to help you with your fluency today. And language is a curious thing because reading, writing is so different from speaking and listening. And imagine this. What is fluency? When you think of fluency, what do you think about? Do you have an image of like water, fluid, down a river? That's kind of what I have in mind when I think of the word fluency. As little barriers as possible to get your communication across. Seamlessly, fluidly, fluently, not choppy. Choppy is stop and go. Stop and go. Like if a video is freeze frame like this, that's choppy video and audio. That's choppy. So fluency has think of the idea of a river flowing downstream. That's what fluency is. So if you think about it, there are things like this that are so much more beneficial than perfect grammar. You see, think about this. If I were to talk like this, even if I have perfect grammar, it sounds weird, right? It sounds weird because, yeah, I may have all the correct words. I may have the correct grammar, but there's still something missing that I notice. Now that's from word to word. These things, and you use your voice to connect your words together. We don't say our words together, our words together. We use our voice to do that. We can do that with our stories too, using these, and we're going to work with that today. So these are ways to start a sentence, and pretty much ways to start a sentence when you give your opinion, when you are answering a question, an open-ended question most of the time. These are words that you use to start a sentence, or connectors in between sentences. Let's take a look at them. I don't know if you can see these clearly. I'm going to add it in post-production. I'm going to add them in subtitles as well, just in case. Well, I'll see if you can see them clearly in post-production. If not, write them down as I say them. So go get a pen and a paper and write these down. Basically. Note this, the pronunciation on this A, this first A. It's not basically, basically. Actually. I mean, we're going to go over the meanings of these next. This, this is really you, but I wrote this the way we pronounce it. So, we don't really say Sometimes we do in some people, but generally it's if you're telling a story, I really like that movie, for example. Well, when you answer a question, yeah, I think so. As opposed to just, I think so. It's a little different meaning. And don't use that one too much. But these are ways to grow your fluency and to sound more fluent. It's a way to seam your ideas together the way you use your voice to put the words together. Basically, well, let me start here that you could have, and there have been studies by many linguists to study what makes people fluent. And they found that you could have candidate A who has perfect grammar. They've studied a lot, they know the grammar, even advanced grammar. And candidate B who, they know they can speak very well but make some grammar mistakes. You could have perfect grammar or make some grammatical mistakes. If candidate B uses these words effectively, candidate B will seem to be more fluent and seem to be able to speak better, will seem to be a better English speaker, because these make it a lot easier to listen to. Imagine if I spoke like this and I gave my lesson like a robot. That's difficult to listen to. But you seam it together, you put them together to make your ideas come together as one. That's what these do. Basically means, we kind of use basically in a way to sum up an idea. So if I talk about my job, how I go to one job, teach, come back here, teach online, go back there, teach again, and I want to sum up after my story, sum up the big point. Basically, I'm very busy in the week. If I don't want to say my whole story and I want to sum it up, I don't want to tell more, I feel like I've been talking a lot, basically, and then get to the main point. That's the typical usage. Of course, we can say basically and continue talking for another 10 minutes. But generally, when we hear basically, we think that it's kind of the end of the story and a summary. It's also used kind of to mean nearly or almost. So, you know, when you're a kid or a teenager, your mother says, well, is your room clean? Jesse, is your room clean? And I'm watching TV or something. Jesse, is your room clean? It's basically clean. That kind of means no, but I hope you buy it. The mothers never buy it. But it's basically clean means almost, but not really. Actually, for Spanish speakers, maybe a little difficult, it's called a false friend. A false friend is if a word in your language sounds a lot like a word in another language, but has a different meaning. For example, Spanish speakers basically sounds a lot like the Spanish word that means pretty much the same thing. Básicamente. How about that for good pronunciation? But actually, actualmente means something different than the English word. So that's why it's called a false friend. Actually means if you say actually when something is true. Like, actually it's daytime here, but it's not very bright outside right now. But actually it's daytime here. It's the middle of the day. Because it's true, and normally we use it for things that are kind of surprising or for things that you might have a different opinion. So it doesn't look very bright here right now, but actually the sun's out. There's just a wall here outside my window to block the light. But actually it's bright and sunny, I think. It is. So that's how we use actually. When you probably think the opposite, or if it's surprising news. Let's say you and I know Bob, and I say, do you know Bob actually believes that the earth is flat? Yeah, it's true. Go ask him. Okay, actually, Bob believes that? Yeah, he actually does. It's something that you think is not true, that you would believe is not true, but it's actual fact, a surprising fact. And it's also used, with a different expectation in mind. So if you go in for an exam, maybe your English exam, or let's take your English exam. You go into an English exam, you're very nervous, you think it's going to be impossible, you think it's going to be so difficult, and then you take it, you come home, and it actually was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. It's actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I thought one thing, but in reality, it's different. That's another way we can use actually. So practice these. Practice these. I mean, literally speaking, I mean is the meaning, what you're trying to communicate. What do you mean, Jesse? Well, I mean that the sun is out, but there's a wall there, so it's dark in here. That's one thing. I mean, literally. But sometimes we use I mean, and it doesn't really mean anything. It's just a way to show that my answer that I'm going to say is not a concrete answer. For example, if you ask me, what is 2 plus 2? Jesse, what is 2 plus 2? I mean, it's 4. That's not good. We don't use it like that, usually. Of course, there are so many exceptions with language. Language is so flexible. But normally, what is 2 plus 2? I mean, it's 4. No, because 4 is a concrete answer. What is 2 plus 2? 4. That's a concrete answer we're sure of. But if you ask more of a question about somebody's opinion about something, a lot of people, because I've studied in, or I've lived in Korea, and now I live in Spain. So a common question that I often get is, which do you like better? Which is better, living in Korea or living in Spain? Normally in this question, I start with I mean. I don't do it intentionally, but I notice from noticing these things that I say it at this question, because my answer is, well, I mean, and by the way, notice I used both of these together, and I don't even realize it sometimes. So, like, well, I mean, it depends on what you're talking about, because just like everything, both places have their positives and negatives. Both places have their benefits and drawbacks. So, I mean, you can't just say one is better than the other. So these are when the types of situations that you use I mean. When there's not really a concrete answer. It depends. So things like, questions like your favorite something. Which is better, this or that, if there's really no solid answer. Tell me about blah, blah, blah. If I say, tell me about blah, 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 you can start with, well, I mean, how was that movie? Was it as good as everybody said? Well, I mean, it was good, but not as good as everyone is saying. So these are things with I mean. And you know can go on the beginning of a sentence or at the end of a sentence. So, well, you know, I used to like the Power Rangers when I was a kid, but now I know how childish it was, but I was a kid, so, you know, kids like things that they don't like when they're adults, right? So you know can go at the beginning, at the middle, at the end. You know is very flexible. And we've already covered well. Yeah, this is good if you want to sound sure of your answer. Like at a job interview, I like opening with yeah with questions. I like opening my answers with yeah, not too much, but to me it sounds like if it's used correctly and confidently, it can be used to show confidence in your answer. So, for example, what's your biggest strength in the classroom? Yeah, I think my biggest strength in the class, it kind of shows subconsciously, yeah, my biggest, yeah, good question. My biggest strength in the classroom is I like to be prepared, for example. Okay, so it shows confidence. And don't use these and you know too much. You know, yeah, there is a danger of using them too much, so be careful of that. But I want you to be conscious, be aware of these things as you listen to English movies, as you watch English TV, as you watch people and listen to podcasts, have conversations with people. After today, I want you to start noticing these things as people are starting to talk. So being aware of them is step one. Step two is starting to put them in your dialogues, in your speeches. And then you'll start to fine-tune them. Fine-tune them means adjust the details of them to make them more and more correct. Let's try some. Let's practice. I'm gonna show you, we're gonna practice, and I want to show you, I want to give you an opportunity to use these. I want you to tell me about you. This is a good opportunity. I want you to think about it, and as you're sitting at your computer, if you're alone, just start thinking about how you would answer these and try to use these sentence starters in your answer. So, what do you do? What are your day-to-day responsibilities? Your first answer could be, well, your first word you think. Well, basically, I am an English teacher. And then you can go on to the details after. That's another way to use basically. Well, basically, I'm an English teacher, but I teach online and in person for a business. What are your day-to-day responsibilities? Tell me what you do. Tell me what you actually do from day to day. Do you have any goals or dreams in your life? What are they? Actually, I want to be self-employed. Actually, I'd like to be an artist, but it takes a lot of time and effort. You know, I just started this company, and I hope it succeeds. Whatever your goals are, tell me your goals and dreams, and use these expressions as you're telling me. Basically, actually, you know, I mean, well, yeah, use these. Tell me about you. Let's see. So, tell me about you. I want you to use these things, these sentence starters in your dialogue, well, it would be a monologue if you're just talking one way to me, but use these and tell me, what do you do? What are your daily, day-to-day activities? Basically, I'm an English teacher. I teach online and in person. So there's a lot of travel. But as you saw, you can put the basically and the summary up front and then describe after, or you can describe and then sum it up at the end. They're very flexible. But what do you do? What are your day-to-day activities? And what are your dreams? What are your dreams and what are your goals in life? What are you going to do in the future? Tell me. Let me know. Let's look at your assignment. I'm going to give you your assignment, and then we're going to call it a day. So, I want you to tell me about a movie that you like. Either a movie you've seen recently, or just your favorite movie, a movie you really enjoy. And I want you to write 2 paragraphs. 1 paragraph about the protagonist and 1 paragraph about the antagonist. I want you to write these paragraphs for speeches, for speaking, because I want you to practice and try to put these sentence starters, these fluency markers, fluency starters in your monologue. I want you to choose at least 3 characteristics. Try to go above and beyond just, oh, he's a good character, he's kind, he's bad, he's evil. No, I mean extend your vocabulary. 3 characteristics for each character. And of course, don't forget to use the sentence starters. So this is your assignment. This is what I would like you to do this week. And you can send me the email. You can send me it on Language Galaxy, on Facebook. You can send me or in the comments below. I want you to tell me or write to me, but as if you're talking about the protagonist and the antagonist, the good guy and the bad guy in your favorite movie or a movie you watched recently. Don't forget to include these in your work. Okay, let's go into, let's check for questions. I'm still arranging the time, so I'm not sure if there will be questions, but we'll see. Facebook, Twitter, that's easy to check. No, Facebook's taking a while. Well, my computer might be taking a while anyway. Anyway, I don't think there's anything on Facebook. It doesn't show any notifications. How the stream is after we go. Little by little. Keep trucking forward. And always have a backup. I do have a backup, and my backup plan was to record it for a post-production video, which that will come out. I've been chopping them up in the sections. Section 1 is the story and the listening. Section 2 is the lesson and the homework and the lesson and the assignment. So you let me know if you like that. It seems to be that's a good option. And other than that, if there is nothing else, let's play my song, the closing song. I keep forgetting to close this way. And until next time, we're going to come together next Friday. As long as everything comes together, I'm going to try next Friday. I'm going to post this stuff. Keep watching, keep listening, keep sharing, and not only sharing the videos, sharing things in life. Because life's a beautiful thing. We want to share it together. A rising tide lifts all boats. When you're doing better, I'm doing better. We help everybody do better. And share, care. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.